Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host, Alexander Turbin. Today we're going to be going over Samurai Guard from Colburn Comics #2. But before we get into that, I'd like to show you my own work. This is Random Access. It's a full-size, full-color, 12-page comic book that I produce every month. I do 10 of the pages, and 2 of the pages are done by random different artists, but the last few months have been Christopher Knox and Paul Courtjohn. And you can get these for $3 at patreon.com/Alexander Turbin, or you can go to my website, alexanderturbin.com, or you can message me at alexturbin0441 at yahoo.com or alexturbin0441 at Instagram. At alexturbin0441 at yahoo. At alexanderturbin.com, you can get Mutandis and The Forlorn and all of the random accesses and a whole bunch of different books that I've done in my previous career as comic book creating. So Samurai Guard, I've been looking forward to doing this because I'm a super samurai happy-go-lucky guy. I just finished watching Shogun, which I really liked. It took a few episodes to get into it and really enjoy it as much as I did, but those last like four or five episodes were really fantastic, and the acting really got super great. So I heartily recommend it if you're thinking about watching it. So it's Samurai Guard, and as I've said, I don't know if I've said it, but my older comics, I had a samurai thing that I did, the blood sword or something like that, Bloodline Rising, which was about a samurai family. And I just love all kinds of samurai stuff. The Miyamoto Musashi, Lone Wolf and Cub, just everything samurai I really love. And I went over those Chinese comics, and it's interesting to see how different the cultural comics can be, although those were actually made from Chinese people and from China. And this is, I believe, from an American who just did samurai kind of stuff. But even then, you look at manga and you look at stuff like that, it's often quite different than Chinese or Korean comics or anything like that. So I think that's very interesting. There's a lot going on in this comic, and I wish I had read the first one. And it kind of takes the whole thing to really get into what is the comic is about and what happened, what transpired previously. But I really I wish I had gotten into it. This book is really super heavy on dialogue and story and characters, and really less so on fighting and action and stuff like that. There are a few action scenes, but it's really heavily on dialogue and story. It's created by Mark Abrigo, and the the editor is Barbara Abrigo. So, husband-wife team. I'm thinking it probably is, but it could be brother-sister team. I don't know. And like I said, it came out in 2000. And so, yeah. It's always cool. You can get this on eBay for like $3 or $4. I think you went up to 4 or 5 issues, and it's always super interesting to look up artists and what they're doing now compared to 24 years ago. And this guy is a fantastic artist. I mean, the book is pretty good as it is, but you can just kind of see how he's evolved and how he's changed and how his art has really grown and become so much bigger than what this is. I would really love to see him do this comic book nowadays and see what he learned and everything and how it would change and be different. I know one of the big things would probably be the coloring. I bet because looks like it's all digital coloring, but it's really early days of digital coloring. So everything kind of has this sheen on it, and I bet digital coloring wise, I bet he would do a lot better and a lot different stuff. So it's just basically the samurai thinking about what has transpired and where he's going, which doesn't help us at all because we don't know what happened. And it basically, the whole story takes place on Bushido Island, which is kind of interesting name for the island. I mean, Bushido is obviously the code of the samurai. So these samurai have taken over Bushido Island, and that's their stronghold or whatever. And he's trotting along with his horse, and he's trying to figure out some stuff about whatever. And he's talking to his horse, and he's like, "Yes, I know that he's there." And this ninja comes down and attacks him, and then it cuts to another scene in the story. I do wish there was on another part of the island. So there is a transition dialogue or whatever there, and it's just a woman, and she's buying some groceries or whatever. She's some sort of I think she's some sort of princess or whatever. I maybe not. Maybe she's just a regular samurai's merchant's wife. It doesn't really say, but she holds herself, I suppose, like someone of aristocratic descent. So she's getting her groceries, and she loses her son, and her son is actually is stolen away to see the shoguns, because there's 3 different shoguns that control Bushido Island, and this is one of them. And everybody, whenever one comes to visit, everyone gets all excited and everything. And the kid just wanted to see the shogun. Excuse me. So she's looking for her son, and this samurai or character comes along with the son, and he's like, "I have your son," and she's very grateful. And then it switches back to the ninja fight and the samurai, and they're having this duel, and the ninja does a bunch of swirly stuff, and as in jumps and stuff. So he jumps back, and this is where it turns to a little bit of a supernatural book. And really, a lot of samurai stuff doesn't have the supernatural in it. They may have like a kami, a spirit, or a fox spirit, or some kind of spirit, or they may have some sort of thing like that. But most samurai books don't have supernatural, unlike a lot of other Chinese books. So the ninja starts doing some magical stuff, and which I kind of translated as to like these smoke bombs or smoke pellets or stuff like that. But I think reading on, I think that it's actually some sort of magical sorcery or something. But he's in the dust, and the ninja is all proud of himself, and the samurai comes out of the smoke and cuts him in the face, and it's really cutting his mask off. And then you find out that he is the father of the samurai, and that he grew up with him until he was 11. Don't know how old he is. I think he said 9 years. I think he's 20, and so from when he was 11, and was raised somewhere else, I guess, he was taught in the ways of ninja. And apparently something had happened in the previous issue where a ninja had attacked him or attacked somebody or something, and he used the same skills that the father had taught the son, the samurai. And so he went there asking him if he had taught his skills to anybody else. It then jumps to this page, which is just kind of a description page, and it's some sort of samurai castle or whatever. And it goes to the shoguns that are ruling the island of Bushido. And it's very weird, because this is almost the exact setup as Shogun. So I don't know if the writer took some ideas from Shogun, where there's 3 ruling shoguns or clans or whatever, and then there's also a Zen priest and the captain of the guard. So another shogun comes in. No, he is. I don't know who he is. He's the captain of the guard. These are shoguns that rule the Bushido Island, and here's the Zen master, who is a confidant or a advisor. He's an advisor to the shoguns. So somebody comes in, and apparently the samurai from Precinct 3 have arrived, so I don't know who that is. And I'm not entirely sure who these are. They are messengers or something. So they're, I don't know really, I guess. I'll read some and then we'll get back into it. I was told Shinodo-san had urgent business to attend to. This show of disrespect for the council is inexcusable and will be addressed. That is a matter for later. I beg to differ, Lord. I have reason to suspect Shinodo-san may have had a hand in what happened last night. We don't know what happened last night because that was in the last issue. Yori, what are you doing? This guy's thinking. Do you understand the seriousness of your action, patrolman? Do you have any evidence to substantiate this claim? No, sir, but an investigation will prove me right. So the three samurai are just patrolmen, and they're bringing some sort of information, accusing one of the samurai of doing something, and they have this whole political intrigue and whatnot. Then it zips to where the kid is stuffing his face with noodles, and it's dinner time because she had invited the samurai that found her son in the market square or whatever and returned him to dinner because that was the polite thing to do, and it's all about politeness in the samurai way of life. And so they're having dinner, and then this weird thing happens where the samurai is talking to the son, and the son kind of just looks down, and then he looks up and he gives him a weird look, and there's this this character. I don't know who this is. It doesn't really say who this is, doesn't explain who this is, and it's just kind of an odd thing. But then it just kind of vanishes, and they're just kind of discussing her husband's not there, and he must have been away on a trip, and he hasn't returned yet. And it's just, food was good, stuff like that. And then from out of nowhere, blasts this beam of light and goes, and it shoots into the little kid. And the wife and the daughter are actually cleaning up. And so they're in the other room, and it's this demon God who I think from the last issue, maybe it was from the last issue, and he's talking about how you defeated me at one point, but I'm regaining my strength, kind of a Sauron kind of thing where he's doesn't have a body, but he's still alive. And so through this wall of text, we realized that they had some sort of battle between them, and the samurai won, and he cast them out. But the evil demon god is still alive. But because he cast him out, he set Japan free because of the demon's control. All of the samurai were in like a state of hatred or anger or whatever. And so the demon says, it's through your own actions that I'm going to return. And he's like, no, even if you do return, I'll stop you. So that's kind of where it ends. And the demon god kind of just zips off. And the samurai is still thinking, there's something more to this kid than I realized because of the weird look he gave me. And he's like, there's a storm coming. So it finishes, this other scene finishes where the samurai and the ninja are talking. The samurai and the father are talking, and he's saying, the ninja is saying that he hasn't taught anybody else his techniques and he's the only one. And so it really comes to a conclusion that the father had nothing to do with it, but the samurai son does not believe him, and he's gonna find out, or he's determined to find out what the ninja did, if he did anything. So he just is gonna kind of take off on his horse, and then cut to another scene, which all of these scenes kind of transition pretty smoothly because there's an ending to each one, or there's a cut scene or something like that goes to the next scene. So that's pretty interesting. So it's some sort of queen or something like that, and she has one of her bodyguards or something. He looks like Shredder. He's got Shredder's pauldrons on, but it's one of her workers, and he's saying that these samurai have come to see her and to do her bidding, and she uses her ninja samurai Japanese something magic to throw bolts of lightning into them, and they're transformed. They were formidable warriors, I suppose, but she uses her magic, and they become the super group of samurai and ninja. So, and they are pledged to you, mother. So they're pledged to do her bidding, and that's how it ends. And it's to be continued. And there's all kinds of letter pages and stuff like that with a pinup, which is really cool, really awesome pinup. So yeah, that's how it ends, and it's to be continued. The story I did enjoy. I did like it. I enjoyed reading it probably more than I thought I was going to. I thought I was going to kind of read through it and have to slog through and wouldn't really understand what was going on, would be very confused. But I was not confused at all, ever. There's no dreaded arrow anywhere, and but we'll get back to that when we're talking about the art. But the story's pretty good. The only complaint I have about the story, and that's not the story-wise, is the word balloons are sometimes a little bit funky. Here they're good, but then some of the other places they're scrunched down, and I think they're digitally done, and they're different sizes, which I do that in my own comics, so I can't really complain too much. But don't do as I do as I say. So sometimes they're a little scrunched and it doesn't work well. And the word balloons just aren't really my style. They're a little janky, I think. But overall, I think the story is pretty good. It's pretty entertaining. Not a whole lot seems to happen. Like the ninja and the samurai fight. They have a little confrontation. It's father and son. They realize that he has a question. He says no, and it just that's really basically the scene right there. This kind of intrigue is really not so easy to read, but it's also not horrible either, because you have to get through this stuff to learn who all of the characters are and what their place in the story is and all of that stuff. And the mother and the child actually was kind of boring until the god kind of took over the kid's mind or body or whatever, and then it became super interesting and super involved. So there would be down times as far as the story goes, and then a few pages later it would be like something interesting and that would grab my attention really quick again. So that's really kind of what you want in a story, because there are these quiet moments, and that's especially in a samurai comic, because you have to have those quiet moments to build up to the action sequences. And that's what I try to do in my comics, is that I don't like to have action. You have to have those story building phases where people have dialogue, people have relationships. There's a build-up of momentum and story and stuff. As for their dialogue's really good. They all read really well. They talk like something from Shogun, something very believable and relatable. And yeah, I liked all of the dialogue and the story points and the plot points and everything. Yeah, I really did enjoy it. As far as the art, there's something not quite. I think it's just a lack of maturation by the artist. Like, you can tell he's obviously a great artist. And if you look him up on Google, Kirk Abrigo, he's got some really fantastic work. He's got some really great watercolors that he does, and he's a fantastic artist. And this stuff is not bad by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, it's really good, but I think it's a little simple, but not in a way of simpleness like the Hernandez brothers is simple, or Mobius is simple. It's more like incomplete, which is what a lot of people say about my artwork, is that it's incomplete. And some of the positions of their heads and stuff, like he's kind of looking down and they're looking down. A lot of people looking down, and this guy's looking up, and it's just like a little not completely done as best as the artist possibly can do. It's good. I enjoyed it. The narrative art was really good too. And I never had to reread anything, and the story went flowing. I like the panel layout. There's lots of differentiations between the panels and the characters, especially when there's talking heads. That's one of the things that can go horribly wrong, is that the talking heads of characters, especially this page here, which this is really talking heads. But then after that, you get a good variety of different stuff. So I really like the layout of the panels and the pages and the characters, and the structure of the bodies and the way that the characters are drawn and stuff is really interesting. It's not goofy or anything. I do think a little bit of the problem is that he's trying to get different angles on a lot of these characters, and that's kind of what happens. I have a lot of different angles where things just get wonky, and that's kind of what happened here, where he's trying to go for like an above scene, like a bird's eye view, and it just kind of goes a little wonky. Like if you see something that is straight on or sideways or something, then it looks perfectly normal, and everything's in proportion and in perspective and everything. But then when you get a little bit of a different angle on something, then it can go a little sideways, which happens to me very often. But you got to keep trying, and you got to just keep doing your best and continue on, and you get better. And this guy obviously has gotten better, because his stuff now is fantastic, and this wasn't even really that bad either. I think my biggest problem is the coloring. This new age digital coloring just doesn't really cut it. I would have liked to have seen this done like in a watercolor or even a marker or something like that. I think it would have given it a little bit more life and a little bit more texture and stuff like that. But overall, I think the art is pretty good and the story is pretty good. So I'm going to give this a Samurai Guard. If I was going to go to the comic book store and get comics and I saw this in the dollar bin, I would definitely scoop up Samurai Guard 1, 3, and 4, and 5 if there's a 5. I would scoop them up. So automatically that gives it above a 7 or a 7 or above. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the art. I kind of think that it probably gets better as the issues go along in 3 and 4 and 5, as he matures as an artist. It very, very often happens. Like if you look at Arthur Adams in Longshot, throughout that whole run of Longshot, you can tell he starts at one point, and by the end he's just so much better. Just like those few issues. So I kind of think the same thing would happen with Kirk here. So I'm enjoying it. I like the comic, and I would recommend it if you like samurai stuff. It's not Lone Wolf and Cub, and actually they make a reference to Lone Wolf and Cub, which is kind of interesting. I really like that. And there's some traditional names. There's like a Musashi. There's a Takuan. There's all of these traditional samurai Japanese names are thrown in there. So that's kind of fun. So yeah, if you like samurai stuff, I would recommend it. I'm going to give this an 8, because the coloring kind of makes it lackluster. Would I have liked it better if it was in black and white? Possibly. I think I possibly would. And then maybe he would have added a little bit more detail and added some blacks and some shadows and stuff. Like this panel here, that's fantastic. And this right here. So some of these panels are really fantastic. And then, a little bit of the wonkiness can set in. But that happens for everybody. And anyway, 8.5. I'm going to give it an 8. I can't give it over an 8. I just don't love it that much. But I would buy some more if I see them. And if anybody has any Samurai Guards, let me know, and let me know what you think in the comment section about Samurai Guard. Samurai Guard number 2 from Colburn Comics in 2000. I'm giving it an 8. And if you like this kind of content and you want to see more indie comics, especially the older indie comics from the 80s and 90s, let me know. And please consider hitting the subscription button and the notification bell, and giving a thumbs up if you like the kind of content. So thanks for watching, and have a great day. And I will see you next time, and keep on creating.